Тестінг, тестінг. Діана, готова? Доброго дня, дуже рада вас бачити тут сьогодні. Працює? Тестінг? Так, добре, окей. Доброго дня, мене звати Нелі, я координатор заходів Education USA тут в Києві. І сьогодні будемо говорити про есеї та мотиваційні листи для вступу до американських університетів. Так, я буду говорити англійською і українською, але, будь ласка, говоріть, як вам зручніше. Окей, я забула клікер. Дякую. Окей. Але спочатку я хочу запитати, кому цікаво навчання на рівні бакалавра? Ага, на рівні магістратура. Чудово. А інші варіанти? PhD, окей, чудово. Great. Okie-dokie. So first of all, що таке Education USA Ukraine? So we are an official network of the United States Department of State. Ми є офіційною мережею Державного департаменту США. Ми працюємо по всьому світі in more than 180 countries with 435 centers. And our job is to provide students with comprehensive, accurate, and unbiased information about studying at American universities. We work with all accredited U.S. institutions, so people often ask us, which universities do you represent to promote? And the answer is all of them that are accredited. There are more than 4,500 accredited universities in the U.S., so you have lots of options. Right now, we have 2 advising centers in Kyiv and Dnipro. Great. Okay. So who can tell me, українською, англійською, як вам зручно, what is the difference between an admissions essay and a statement of purpose? Хто знає? Яка різниця? Будь ласка. Окей. Інші думки? Нема. Окей. Доброго дня. Приготуйте, будь ласка. So usually we use admissions essay to talk about essays for undergraduate admissions, for admissions on bachelor's programs, okay? На рівні бакалавра. A statement of purpose, мотиваційний лист, this is usually for admissions on the level of master's or PhD programs, okay? So that's sort of the difference. And we'll talk this evening about how how an essay and a statement of purpose are different from each other because there are different requirements for each. Wow, we are so popular today. It's a good problem to have. Okay. Why do universities require an essay or a statement of purpose, depending on bachelor's or master's? Why do universities require this? Ваші думки. Чому університети вимагають есей або мотиваційний лист?
To find the right person for the university, the type of person must be
Okay. Okay, yeah, so good. So she said to find the right person for the university to make sure it's going to be a good fit, right? A good match. Okay? Інші думки? Yes?
understand what kind of contribution can this person make to this university and whether it is suitable for a studying professor, for instance.
What?
Talking about
Yeah.
master's degree.
Great, yeah. So to find out if this person will be suitable for the university and what contributions they can give. That's especially important on the level of master's and PhD, right? When you're sort of contributing more to the university, maybe in terms of research, they want to see what can the student give to us, okay? I will also add that it gives the university an opportunity to find out something about you that is not in the rest of your application. And we'll talk about that more later. But in the rest of your application, they have your grades, they see your GPA, right? But those are just numbers. And so this gives them an opportunity to find out something about you personally and to get to know you a little better. So this is a very important part of your application package, whether it's bachelor's, master's, or PhD. Yeah, so like I said, basically it's your chance to oholusuvati sebe, okay? Maybe it doesn't sound so nice or polite, but it's true. You really are advertising yourself to the university because you want them to pick you, okay? So it's also a great opportunity to show how unique you are, right? Because they want to see, okay, if they get thousands of applications every year, they want to see how is this person different from all of the other thousands of applications we have received. So it's your opportunity to show how special you are. Okay. Actually, let me ask you guys first, if you didn't read it yet. What makes a good essay? What are some qualities of a good essay? Structure, great. Uh-huh. Okay, vocabulary is important. Interesting story, okay. Should be interesting to read, right? For sure. Other thoughts? Yes, do not write anything that's not true. Don't write. We don't want fake news, right? Yes, absolutely. So I'm sure you all have learned to write essays in school or at university. So I'm sure a lot of those things that you have learned apply to admissions essays and statements of purpose, but some things are a little different. But absolutely, as you said, structure and organization, it should be, understandable. It should be clear, so the person reading it should understand what point you're trying to make. It should be effective. So think about why you're writing this essay or this statement of purpose. What is your goal? Is your goal to inform the reader something about you? Is your goal to persuade them to accept you into the university, right? So think about what your goal is and make sure that your essay is effective to that end. And originality. Again, how does this make you different from the thousands of other students that apply to this university? Great. So, what should you do first? Does anyone have any ideas? When you need to write an essay for school, university, something like this, someone gives you a writing task, what do you do first? Okay, look at some examples. Good, other ideas? Make a plan, that's a great idea. Okay, uh-huh. Mm-hmm, good. So I would say the first thing, like you said, find the topic, find the goals, read the instructions, okay? So for undergraduate essays, usually they will give you a prompt, especially if you are using the Common App. Has anyone heard of the Common App? Common application? A couple people? Yes. This is for undergraduate admissions only, bachelor's degrees. But it's one application that you fill out for many universities, and there they have questions listed for you to answer. For statements of purpose, like for master's degrees or PhD degrees, they will not give you a prompt. They just say, write a statement of purpose. And you need to know what that means and what to include in that. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So for undergraduate, they give you more guidance about what you should write. But here are some examples of undergraduate admissions essay prompts from the Common App. This is a great one here. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful that believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. This can be a great opportunity for international students because they are receiving thousands of applications from American students, but they are not receiving, probably, thousands of applications from Ukrainian students. So this can be a great opportunity to talk about your Ukrainian identity, how this makes you special, and how this makes you different from other students. These are just some examples. You will come across these if you use the Common App. But mostly undergraduate essays really want you to focus on some personal aspect of your life, maybe a change you went through, a challenge you faced. They want to see self-reflection, okay? And you can see sometimes they will have extra little sort of short answers. For example, you're teaching a Yale course. What is it called? What inspires you? You see only 35 words there. So that's sort of for them to get you to think and get you to be concise. So these are just some examples. So first, read the prompt and make sure you understand what they're asking you to do. For statements of purpose for master's or PhD programs, really what you're trying to do there is it's more professional, it's more formal. You're explaining your background, you're explaining why you want to pursue a master's degree or a PhD degree in this field, and why the specific program at the specific university is right for you. It's much more specific, okay? So a statement of purpose for master's and PhD degrees really needs to be more about your career goals, and why this program is right for you, okay? For the undergraduate level, they want to see sort of more self-reflection, more personally about you, but statements of purpose need to be more career-driven, okay? So read the instructions, make sure you know what they are asking. And then brainstorm, okay? So this is really an opportunity for you, after you've read the instructions, to think about, okay, what do I want to write about? Just start thinking. This usually doesn't happen, in one day or overnight. This can take a long time. So just think about, what are the most important things for you to include in this essay or statement of purpose, and start taking notes. Everyone does this a little bit differently. Some people carry a notebook around them and just write whenever something hits them. Some people like to sit down and lay out an outline. So you know personally what process works for you. But make sure not to skip the brainstorming phase, okay? Don't just read the instructions and then immediately sit down and start writing your essay. Take some time to think about what you want to write, and really plan out the process, okay? There are 3 main questions that you should answer, whether it is an undergraduate essay or a statement of purpose. The first one is, who are you? Again, in the rest of your application, the admissions counselors see you as numbers, right? Your GPA, your grades, they see, sort of statistical information or data about you. Where are you from? What's your address? What's your phone number? But they want to know really who you are, and again, what makes you interesting. Especially, again, on the graduate level for master's or PhD programs. Why do you want to study here or take part in this competition if it's for maybe a scholarship or a short-term program? But why do you want to study here? And then why should we want you to study here or choose you for this program? Okay, so there needs to be a level of self-reflection that's not only, why am I right for this program, but also, why is this program right for me? Okay, so you really need to answer both of those 2 things. And you need to show that you have done your homework, okay? Make sure that it's clear in your essay that you have researched the university, you understand why it's a good fit for you, okay? So it shouldn't look like it's one essay that you wrote and you're sending it out to a bunch of different universities and it's the same. It should really be individual, specific for each institution and for each program, and why this is really a good fit for you. If you sit down and start writing and find out that you're having trouble answering that question, do more research on the school or the university, and think about whether this is really the right program for you, okay? Because they will be able to tell, the person reading your essay will be able to tell if you have done your homework and researched their school and their program or not. So again, always think about, what's my end goal? Am I trying to persuade, inform, entertain, maybe? But most likely you're trying to persuade them to accept you to their school, right? Good. Step 2, after you've brainstormed, you've taken some notes, you've thought about what you want to write thoughtfully, think about the structure, okay? We want the organization to be clear so that the person reading it sort of sees this journey that you're taking them on, okay? So first, I'm sure you all know the main structure of an essay, right? You have your introduction. Should be pretty brief. You want to include the main idea of your essay or your statement of purpose, and most importantly, get the reader's attention, okay? Because probably they will make a judgment about you in that first paragraph, okay? And they will decide, ooh, I want to keep reading this essay, or I do not. This is not interesting to me. So make sure you spend time to get the reader's attention. Then, of course, we have the body, the major part of your essay or your statement of purpose, and then your conclusion. You're summing up your essay or your statement of purpose, and there's no new information added. We wrap it up in a nice bow and leave the reader with something to think about. So then once we get down to the body of your essay or statement of purpose, there are different ways you can organize it, depending on what information is most important to you. Again, think about this during the brainstorming phase. One thing you could do is organize your essay or statement of purpose in chronological order. I think this can work really nicely for statements of purpose. You can talk about the past. Where have I been? What have I done? What am I doing now? And then what do I want to do in the future, right? Why is this program right for me? Why do I want to go into this career? So that can be a really great idea for a statement of purpose, Or for an undergraduate essay, if you're talking about some change that you've gone through in your life, a big challenge you experienced, how you've grown up or matured or something, of course, chronological order makes sense. So make sure you're not jumping back and forth between times if you are telling a more informal story, I guess. You can organize it by topical order. Make sure you have the same topics together in one paragraph if you don't want to go chronologically, or any other sort of structure that makes sense for what you want to communicate, okay? But make a specific choice about this. Think about, again, what structure is going to help you communicate your idea most clearly. And then, of course, within the paragraph, the structure of a paragraph, you probably all know this, you should have a topic and a thesis sentence that really introduces your idea and makes clear what you're going to communicate in that paragraph. Prove your thesis, provide data. Even when you're talking about yourself, you know, if your topic sentence is, for example, I have matured a lot during the time that I have been in high school, and then provide evidence about, you know, how you've really grown since you were in 8th form or 9th form and what experiences you had that have affected you. And then, of course, at the end, make sure you have nice transition sentences that helps it flow into the next paragraph, so your reader isn't startled by the ending of the paragraph and the start of the next one. Okay? Any questions so far? Sure. That is a great question. I don't know if that's possible. We've never done that before, but if you have a flash drive, with you, I could give it to you after the presentation. Yeah. All right. And then, once you've decided on your structure, maybe you have an outline, maybe you've taken notes. Again, everyone plans a little bit differently according to their own personal style. Then, start writing. Again, this can be great just to write everything that comes to your mind. Decide what topics will be discussed in the essay. Decide the thesis sentence of each paragraph. Include examples and write everywhere. I think it can be a great idea to just bring a notebook with you when you're in the essay writing phase of your application, so you can write things down when they occur to you. And I want to emphasize again, for both undergraduate and graduate essays or statements of purpose, the essay is an opportunity to talk about things that are not included in the rest of your application package, okay? So in your application essay for undergrad, for example, for bachelor's programs, do not just list all of the Olympiads that you've won and all of the competitions that you've taken part of that you've already mentioned in the rest of your essay. If you have a story to tell about one of those experiences and how it changed you that's relevant to the essay, go ahead and do that. But do not just list facts that are in the rest of your application. This is a great opportunity for you to show a different side of yourself that, again, they do not see in the numbers, in the transcripts, and in the application form. Okay, so take advantage of this opportunity to show off who you are and how unique you are. All right, step 4, revising, our favorite step. So, you should never ever submit the first draft of an essay or a statement of purpose. You should revise it many times. By the time you're done, I don't know, you should have 8 versions, 50 versions, 100 versions. Just keep going until it's really perfect and you're really happy with it. So, how can you revise your essay? Definitely proofread it. Make sure there are no grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes, because that's very important. Read it out loud. This is something that one of my professors taught me when I was at university. He made us read all of our essays out loud to him. We had to schedule time, go to his office, and read our essays out loud to him, which was terrifying at first, but it was really helpful. And even to this day, when I'm in my apartment alone, I still read all my essays out loud to myself, because you catch things that you don't catch when you're just reading them in your head. Reading them out loud really helps. Do some peer review. So give your essay to somebody else that you trust. It could be another student that's applying to undergrad. It could be a classmate that you trust. It could be a teacher, something like that. Ask a native speaker to review it if possible, because they might be able to help you with some grammatical things or verb tenses or words that may be tricky for you. So if you have the opportunity, you know a native speaker, ask them to help you out. And of course, you can always contact Education USA, and we can help you edit or review your essays, okay? That's what we're here for. So we're always happy to do that with you as well. How many of you revise when you write? How many of you do some editing? Fantastic. I hope at the end of your application process, all of your hands will be up because you should always revise. So there are a couple other tips that you can use when you're revising. One thing that can be really helpful is to identify bad habits in your own writing. Be sort of self-reflective about your writing and identify things that you do all the time. I noticed at a certain point when I was in university that I always used the word very. Very hungry, very tired, very great. And then I realized that I could use stronger words. Instead of very angry, I could say furious, So I would have the document, and I would Control F and search for all the places that I used very, and I would find different words for that, okay? So if you can identify a bad habit that you have in your writing, try to identify it and then go back and fix it when you have the opportunity. Get rid of words that you just don't need, especially for undergraduate essays. Usually there is a word limit. They will say, write a 500-word essay. Do not go over the word limit. If they ask for a 500-word essay, do not write 600 words. Do not write 550 words, okay? Because they have a lot of essays to read, and they give those limits for a reason. So if you have a lot to say, and you only have 500 words to do it, make sure you're not using words that are unnecessary. Again, don't say very angry. That's 2 words. You can say furious. That's 1 word. There you go. Saved yourself a word. So make sure that everything you're saying has meaning. Go back and make sure it doesn't make sense. Okay? Try to read it from an outside perspective. I know you have it all in your head, but make sure that you're trying to read it from someone else's perspective who doesn't know you and say, okay, is this logical? Do I communicate everything I want to say? And this can be a great time to put your essay aside for a while. That's great to do in the revising process. Write a draft, put your essay aside for 2 weeks or even more, and then come back to it when you have sort of a fresh mind and you're not sort of too close in it. When you're working on something for a long time, you get sort of too close. You need to remove yourself from it to get some new thoughts. And then again, does this say something new? Make sure you're looking at each sentence and make sure that you're not repeating yourself, that you're actually adding new information, okay? Because you have a limited amount of space and time, so make every sentence count. There we go. Okay. On the topic of saying something, when you're revising, again, make sure that every sentence has meaning and you don't have stuff in there that you don't need. So let's look at this sentence. We can assume this is probably from a statement of purpose. In pursuing a degree in international relations, my goal is to understand and master the myriad factors that affect relationships between states and the tools those states employ when making and implementing policy decisions. Wow, that sounds really impressive. But if you break it down, this sentence is basically just saying, I want to pursue a degree in international relations to understand international relations. Right? So even though it has fancy words in here like myriad and employ and implementing policy decisions, it sounds important, but it's really not saying anything of consequence. It's not saying anything important, okay? So avoid the trap of just using fancy words to try to sound impressive and really make sure that you're saying something that matters, okay? Here's another example. Columbia University. Many of you have probably heard of Columbia University in New York. Columbia University's outstanding reputation is very attractive, and its location in New York City will provide many opportunities for internships. You do not need to write in your essay to Columbia University that they have an outstanding reputation because they already know that, okay? And they know that most of the students are applying to the school because it has a great reputation. So don't waste your time writing that because they will say, yes, we know, we are awesome. And the second question here is, what specific internships are interesting? Provide many opportunities for internships. Again, this all comes back to specificity. Be specific, show that you've done your research. If you can say that we'll provide many opportunities for internships at the Museum of Natural History in the archives department, okay? And you can show that you've done your research, you've thought about really what you want to do. That's going to be more impressive to them because they will say, wow, she's really dedicated to this, or he's really dedicated to this, and he knows exactly what he wants to do here, okay? Here's another example. I believe that Emerson, this is a university near Boston, I believe that Emerson's program can make me a successful marketer because of the subjects included in the highly skilled faculty. Okay, what subjects? which highly skilled faculty. Okay, you could say this about any university. But if you write, Professor Neyman's latest book shows exactly the kind of attention to language that interests me, again, it's specific and it shows that you've done your homework. You have researched one of the professors that works there that you would like to work with. You have read some of his or her work that you really enjoyed. So be specific, because they will find that much more interesting and compelling than, again, these sort of vague things that you could say about any university. Okay? Good. After you've revised, go back and do it all again. Okay? This is really a long process. You should not revise once. You should revise many, many, many times. Okay? When speaking about when to start, we usually recommend that students start writing their essays in the fall. So now, that's why we're doing this session now. Okay? So if you are applying to start studying in September of 2020, you should start writing your essays now, or even earlier would be better. So you're spending your time revising August, September, October, and even into November, because then your applications are due, December, January, February. Okay, so you should spend 3 months really writing and revising your essays or your statement of purpose. Do not do this in 1 week. Do not leave it till a week before the deadline, because you will not be submitting your best work. Okay? Good. So as you're revising, you've revised, you have 16 different versions, you finally feel like it's good, and you're reading it for the last time. Here are some final things that you can look at. When you're reading the introduction, is it clear? Do I want to continue reading after the first sentence or after the first paragraph? Like I said, there are some statistics about when you walk in for a job interview, in the first 30 seconds, the person knows whether or not they want to hire you. I think essays are kind of similar. After they've read the introduction, they already know, am I interested in this student or am I not? So spend time in the introduction to get their attention, okay? When you're looking at the body, is it clear and specific? Does every word count? Again, for statement of purpose, a great structure could be past, present, future. Is my journey clear? And is the tone positive? I'll talk about this a little bit more later with some do's and don'ts. But again, make sure your organization is clear and you're not leaving your reader confused or kind of dizzy, okay? In the conclusion, what feeling does it leave you with, okay? Your conclusion is the last thing that the person's going to read before they move on. So really, what sort of feeling do you want them to leave with after they've finished your essay? Because that might be how they remember you, okay, among all the other applicants. Does it connect back to the introduction and the rest of the essay? And is it clear that this is the end? Okay, so don't just sort of peter out into kind of an unexciting conclusion that isn't really clear. Make sure that it's clear. This is the end. This is the conclusion. Make it strong. Okay. Some do's and don'ts. Do, write an original essay that is based on personal experience or observations. So exactly as you said, don't write anything that's not true. Okay, don't make things up. Unless for some reason that's part of the exercise. They ask you to make up a story, but I don't think they will. Okay, so write about your personal experience. Don't steal things from other people. That's another big thing. Do not plagiarize, okay? American universities take plagiarism and academic honesty very seriously. So make sure everything you're writing is your own, okay? Let your personal voice shine, okay? This is, again, about being unique. Don't try to make it sound overly professional or fake or academic. Write how you are so they can get a sense of your personality just by reading what you've written on the page. Convey a positive image overall. Focus on one event or idea. When you only have 500 words, usually try to make it really specific, okay? Don't try to cover too much in your essay. Write about something important to you. If you're passionate about what you're writing about, the person reading it will be able to see that. Include other people in your essay. Again, make it personal. Write the names of other people that are important to your story or to your journey, because that'll make it more personal for them. Use sentences of varied length, and use the active, not the passive voice. Okay, this is a really big one. I also always used to do this when I was an undergrad. I would always use the passive voice. And the passive voice just is not as powerful. In 90% of cases, you can find a way to write something with an active voice instead of a passive voice. So try to avoid the passive voice. Do not try to sell yourself by directly stating how great you are. We always like to say, show, don't tell. Okay, so use the language to show the reader what you're trying to get at instead of just coming out and telling them, I'm great and this is why you should accept me. Don't try to be too academic or professional, like that example we saw about international relations. That person seemed like they were trying to be very academic, and their voice wasn't coming through, and the sentence wasn't really saying anything important. It just sounded cool, okay? So don't try too hard to be scholarly or academic. Do not use your essay to explain weaknesses in your application. I put a star next to this because I would say, maybe there's an instance where you could sort of make this work for you. So, for example, if you got really bad grades, in your 11th form year, don't use your essay to say, well, I know I got really bad grades, but I'm actually a really good student and I won all these awards or whatever. Don't do that. I would say that if there was a big life event or some, tragedy or trauma that affected you, and there was a reason you got really bad grades in your 11th form year, and you could write about that experience in a way that changed you or had an impact on you, I would say then, yes, maybe you could do that, okay? So if you can use it, again, to answer the prompt, and you can sort of give an explanation for an event in your life that affected maybe your academic record, you could do that. But I would say do that carefully, and in general, don't use your essay to make excuses, okay? Don't repeat information already mentioned in the application. Like I said, this essay is a precious opportunity. You only have so much time and space, so don't waste it repeating information. Don't talk about how you want to get out of Ukraine, okay? So don't write, for example, and that might not be the case for all of you, but sometimes we read essays that's like, well, I want to study biology, but there are no good science labs in Ukraine, and I don't know where to go, and I don't want to go to Ukrainian universities. That's not going to be exciting to them, okay? It's kind of a negative tone, and even if that's how you feel, although I hope it's not how any of you feel, even if that's how you feel, find a more positive way to write about it, okay? You could write about how I really want to use the amazing technology that's available in American universities and then bring that knowledge back to Ukraine to innovate something. I don't know. But really don't write about how there's nothing for me to do here and I want to get out, because they will not find that exciting, okay? Don't start too many sentences with I. Don't use words you don't know, again, to try to sound impressive or academic. Use words you know. Because if you're using weird words that are too fancy and you use them incorrectly, they will notice. Don't use unnecessary words or slang. So, again, an essay or statement of purpose should be personal. They should be able to see your voice and understand who you are. But this is not an opportunity to show off your knowledge of American slang, okay? Even if you're like, wow, I want to show them that I'm like a native speaker and I know all their slang. This is not the place to do that, okay? So don't write wanna, gonna, don't do any of that, okay? So it should be personal, and, in some cases informal, but it should still be, well-written and somewhat professional, okay? Great. So this is a long example, but I want you to take a minute just to read it, get the sense of it, and then just suggest some improvements based on these do's and don'ts that we've talked about. Take a look at it. I'll give you a minute or two to read it, and then tell me what you think, what you would do differently based on what we've talked about, okay? So this is probably for an undergraduate essay for a bachelor's degree. All right. I hope some of you have had the chance to read it. If you haven't, that's okay. What thoughts do you have? If you were helping the student edit this essay, what would you suggest to them? That's a great question. I actually don't know. This is an older presentation, so I don't know where they got this. I don't think our advisors have time to write fake essays, so I imagine that it's probably real, but I'm sure it's very old, so it's no one you know. Okay, what suggestions would you offer this person? Okay, change the entire main idea. Okay, can you be more specific? Yeah. 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 So, це не дуже конкретно, так? І не дуже позитивно. So, yeah, exactly like you said, quality education is a very rare occasion. Most of them are being taught using outdated information. Later here they say students in Ukraine may get lazy. So even though they managed to find a way to make it positive by talking about the benefits of American education, the overall tone is not very positive, right? And again, most American universities probably know that they have high quality education, so you don't need to tell them that. Good. So yeah, it's not very positive. So find a way to talk more positively. Okay? Yeah.
And I think that the person shouldn't mention his or her minus about to keep myself productive.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. I need a challenge to keep myself productive. Okay. So maybe be more like specific about that, or what would you suggest? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Good. Other thoughts? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Ah, good call. Good call. Okay. Yeah, so I would definitely say that that's a good idea. If it's gonna be more, formal writing, more professional, yeah, avoid using contractions. Okay? Other thoughts? Yes? A lot more thought out. It means like they they thought about it carefully. It's like there's clear thought put into the structure. Rather than it's not random, it's very clear and well thought out. Yes, please. Which phrase? Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. And actually, I would say in general, guys, don't use the phrase in conclusion at all. Okay? Even in the conclusion. It's not exciting. Okay? You see it all the time. In conclusion, this is why I want to study at an American university. Don't do that. Okay? You can if you really want to, but I would say find a better way to end your essay. Okay? Because it sounds formal and stiff and it's not exciting. If you want to give your reader something to think about after they're done reading your essay, try to end it more creatively. Okay? Other suggestions? Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, the structure isn't very clear, right? It's not exactly clear what the whole point is in this first paragraph or the second. And this one paragraph that's 3 short sentences, yeah, I agree. The structure is not very clear. Okay? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So definitely fix the conclusion because they just kind of jump right in without really giving us an introduction. Write about the specialty or the major. I would say for undergraduate, again, it depends on what prompt you're answering, what question you're answering, but that might not actually be the most important thing, okay? for some of you who may not have done much research yet, you may not know that on the undergraduate level in the United States, your major is not so important when you're being admitted, okay? You usually do not have to choose a specialty until the end of your second year of studying, okay? So they give you 2 years to take lots of different courses, general courses, figure out what you like, what you're passionate about, and then at the end of your second year, you have to officially decide, okay? If you're going into university and you know exactly what you want to study, that's great. But you'll have the opportunity to figure it out or even change your mind if you want, okay? So if you're applying to college and you're like, I don't really know what I want to study, that's okay. What's going to be more important to the university on the undergraduate level, again on the bachelor's level, is that you understand why this place is where you want to live for 4 years. Why do you think that, even if you don't know what you want to study, why will you be happy at this college for 4 years, okay? On the graduate level, master's, PhD level, obviously, yes, you need to know exactly what you want to study and why this program is right for you, okay? Yes?
I think that the writer should pay more attention about his own personality, about his own experience, maybe some skills that he or she has, but she or he wrote only about the problems maybe and
Yeah.
and negative side of his own personality, like
Yeah.
bored and I burned out,
Yeah.
get bored and so on.
Yeah, so what do we really know about this person? Nothing, except that they were a flex student and they get burned out easily, okay? So we want to see, again, this person's personality, why they're unique, why they're different, yeah.
I will probably also change flag student to exchange student because not everybody knows what flags are.
That's a great point. That's a great point. They might not know what flex is, yeah. Okay, good. So we get the idea, we understand. I'm glad you guys can identify sort of what not to do, okay? There was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, yeah, and be specific. Tell about specific stories. So, for example, if you answered that prompt that I showed earlier about if you have some background identity or trait that makes you so special, you need to write about it, then do that. Again, you are Ukrainian. That's already interesting. I don't know if maybe some of you are from other countries. I don't know. But whatever country you're from that's not America, that's automatically interesting to them, okay? So you could tell the story of your favorite Christmas celebration and paint the scene of you sitting around the table with your family and write about that experience and how it impacted you or something. You know, so tell the story. Again, show, don't tell. You know, if you can describe that experience and how it changed you, that's going to be very interesting to them. Okay, so be specific. This is all very vague. Make sure you're specific. Okay. Tips. Short is better than long. Be concise. Again, they read a lot of essays, and so if you're writing an essay and it ends up being 3 pages, you're doing something wrong, okay? Be opinionated, but not offensive, okay? Don't be so strong with your opinions that makes you seem kind of aggressive. First sentences are very important, as you know. The ending should not repeat or be a formal conclusion. Again, don't say, to sum up. Oh, man, I hate that even more than in conclusion, okay? Don't say in conclusion. Don't say to sum up, okay? Find a more creative way to end. Structure your paragraphs. Again, we saw in the last essay it wasn't really clear what the structure was, so make sure you make a decision about that and stick to it. Use appropriate spacing. Again, this is a little bit weird to look at even just, you know, before you read it. It's just a little bit odd to look at, so make sure the spacing is good. And choose exciting verbs, okay? Not only to be, to do, to make, all right? Good. Here are some, actually before, I know you're all going to want to take a picture of this. Hold on, I'll go back. But before I go onto the resources page, I want to ask you if you have any questions for me.
Do you have time after this meeting to revise my graduation letter?
We can talk and you can make an appointment with one of our advisors.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Other questions? Yes. I don't have one on this presentation, but we do have plenty of good examples. Actually, there was another one that I was going to include, but it was too long. But again, I'll show you our contact information, and if you want some good examples, I would assume you would want a statement of purpose. Yeah. Email us, and we can send you some good examples. Absolutely. Other questions? Yes.
This one is a little bit specific, but I have applied last year, and here I am. So my
Okay.
essay wasn't particularly successful. Can I use the same topic? And basically, the prompts changed from the last year?
Sure. Yeah. On undergraduate, bachelor's degrees? Yeah. Yeah. So I can say that the Common App, if you're applying using the Common App, usually the prompts are the same almost every year. Sometimes they change them. They might add one or two that's different, but usually they're the same. So yeah, if you are still passionate about that topic and you think you can write it a little bit better than you did last year, then sure, go ahead. People have asked us sometimes, which topic is it best to choose? So on the Common App, you have about 7 choices. And people ask, well, which one is the best one to choose? Which ones do they want me to choose? Don't think about it like that. Write about the one that you can write the best about, that you're the most passionate about, okay? They have usually, I think it's about 6 prompts, and then the last one is write an essay of your choice. People think, oh, well, if I choose that one, they're going to be more excited by that. Just write whatever you can write the best about, okay? Don't try to read the mind of the admissions person. Just do what you're passionate about, write what you're excited about, and that will come through in your essay, okay? So there's no right or wrong question to choose, okay? Yes?
If it is a statement of purpose or for master's or for PhD, should it be used like in the story format? Like, should it tell some story or should it be like in a more formal way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for statement of purpose for master's or PhD, I would say it's a little bit more formal, more professional, but it should still be personal. You still want to show who you are and your personality, but it is definitely more focused than an undergraduate essay. You need to talk specifically about your career goals. Why do you want to pursue this career and what is your vision for the future? Why is this program right for me? And I think it's also, like I said, to include information about how you've gotten to where you are. That's why I think the past, present, future is a really great structure to use. It's not the only one, but that can also be a great opportunity to talk about, for example, a change of path of specialty. So if you studied, for example, business on the undergraduate level and now you're applying for master's programs in international education, your statement of purpose is a great opportunity to explain how you've had that journey from business now to being interested in international education. So I would say include personal details, for example, especially in the introduction. If you can grab the reader's attention with a specific story that relates to your journey and why you're applying to this master's program now, go ahead and do that. But it's definitely a little more formal and more professional than an undergraduate essay. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Yeah, so include stories if you can fit it into sort of this more structured outline about your career path, your career goals, and why you want this specific program. Other questions? Great, okay. So here are some great writing resources. And here, by the way, are some sample essays, links for sample essays. But again, if you want more, feel free to email us. I'll show you our contact information. We can send them to you. When I was in university, I used the Purdue OWL all the time. This is a great, great, great resource, and they have specific resources for non-native speakers of English. Okay, so these are all great resources, but I can specifically speak to the Purdue website. I love their website. They have so many resources, okay? So if you want more examples, more ideas about how to write personal statements, or even just style choices, grammar questions, okay, you can use some of these websites. Okay. And here is our contact information, okay? So, say nash... yes, sorry. Okay, go ahead. Okay. А цей наш глобальний сайт англійською мовою, там дуже багато ресурсів щодо фінансової допомоги, різні програми, як знайти найкращий університет для себе і так далі. Ось наш сайт українською мовою, там також дуже багато базової інформації щодо вищої освіти українською мовою і всі наші заходи. And this is in Ukraine. Education USA is administered by American Council, so this is sort of our administrator's website. We are on Facebook. There also are all of our events. We always post all of our events on Facebook. On YouTube, you can see lectures from all of our previous America House events. And, of course, we're on Instagram. So we have lectures here every Thursday at 5 p.m., basically without fail, unless America House is closed. So every Thursday at 5 p.m., and we talk about all kinds of different topics. Especially in the next 2 months, we're going to have a lot of U.S. representatives do webinars with us. So people from American universities to talk about different programs, different parts of the application process, okay? So feel free to join us. And even if you can't join us in person, we're always streaming them online, or you can watch them the next day on our YouTube channel. Here's our email address. And I also want to say that we are accepting applications now for our competitive college club. And the applications are only open until September 15th. So that is on Sunday. Що таке Competitive College Club? Це річна програма, де ми, півторарічна програма, де ми допоможемо вам крок за кроком через процес вступу. Це для студентів that want to apply either for bachelor's programs, master's programs, or PhD programs, okay? You do not need to live in Kyiv to apply for this. I'm assuming all of you live in Kyiv, but maybe not. But for people joining us online, you do not need to live in Kyiv to be in this program because everything we do is online, okay? It's all virtual. So we work according to a syllabus. You have tasks. We have online meetings. You work with our American interns. And we start all the way at the beginning from how do I find a good program for me, all the way to the end where you're actually submitting your documents, okay? So it is competitive. You do have to fill out an application. But all of that information is on our Facebook page and on our Instagram. So if you're thinking about it, you only have 3 more days to apply. So if you're interested in that, don't hesitate, and you can ask me any more questions about that if you want. Yes? Any pre-med advisors? So we don't have advisors that work according to specific subjects, but we can work with you if that's a program you're interested in. As you probably know, studying medicine in the United States is a whole, that would be an hour presentation in itself. But if that's something you're interested in, we can, of course, consult with you, okay? Також тут на нашому сайт українською мовою, там ви можете записатися на консультацію з нашими радниками, окей? Там дуже велика червона кнопка, записатися на консультацію, і ми можемо поговорити з вами по скайпу, по телефону, особисто в нашому центрі, як вам зручно, okay? And we can answer any questions about any part of the application process, okay? From financial aid to finding the right program, to submitting your applications, documents, essays, transcripts, whatever, okay? So we're here to help you for whatever you need. So, also, if you'd be willing to fill out the survey about this lecture today, I'd be very grateful. But for now, that's all I have. Thank you so much for coming. I'll stick around for a couple minutes if you have any other questions. But if you have any questions about higher education in the U.S., будь ласка, звертайтеся.